Alright, another video. This is sort of a link to the physics channel, so maybe some light physics conversation in general terms, some conversation about what it is to actually have a conversation. What I find interesting as a comment, what I find tolerable as commentary from the peanut gallery, so to speak. That kind of stuff, generally speaking. So a link below to the physics channel. I think the link is already there, but put it there again or something. For the people who don't realize, I have a channel devoted to making this argument about how quantum mechanics is pretty much a big pile of rubbish. The whole wave-particle duality bullshit is bullshit. The whole spooky action at distance is bullshit. This whole thing is bullshit. Relativity is bullshit. Bent space is bullshit. There's a physical explanation for how the physics of the universe works. You don't need any of this magic. So anyway, so Piero's been arguing for I must use his bullshit language, so I did this. I just did the Wikipedia thing quick. Yeah, non-locality is pretty funny. It doesn't have a page of its own. It has to be a reference page because, like superposition, it's a word that they use for more than one thing, which is really stupid. But anyway, the part that just made it charming as fuck was disambiguation. Yeah, disambiguation is associated with non-locality. That's a Professor Anton word from the past. Disambiguation. And so that was just perfect for me. The smashing of Professor Anton into the Piro bus is just so perfectly silly. And it just illustrates my point that this is wordification for the sake of complexarization, for the sake of confusimination. You're just confusiminating the subject. Anyway, so action at a distance, exactly the thing I'm saying doesn't happen. So why should I use a word that establishes a premise that I don't agree with? The concept in physics of non-local interactions, which means, yes, interactions that don't require something to interact. It's magic. A little magic thing over here has a magic ESP with the other thing over there. They ESP with each other. Yeah, fuck you. Principle of locality, the opposite of action at a distance. Well, that page might have some integrity. Quantum non-locality, so now we have a specific kind of non-locality. So I guess we'll go to that page, because that must be Piero's favorite. So yeah, let's do that for fun. Well, I'll read some other douchebag's comment in between, just for fun here, just because it was a comment I did delete, so I will delete. So I'll just talk a little bit on comments. I make arguments, okay? I don't preach dogma. I don't say God says. I don't say any of that shit. I will reference Einstein or Feynman because I'm arguing with what they're saying, usually. Or I'm arguing that somebody's totally misrepresenting what they said, in the case of Einstein and gravitational waves and that kind of thing. But none of what I'm saying is the truth. Am I taking some source and saying, see, my source of integrity says so? I'm not doing arguments from authority. Beyond establishing that some physics was very good physics. Like I might say the word Darwin as I'm referencing evolution, just because the two are associated. I might connect Newton to a finalization of some very good physical mechanics. But they're not arguments from authority. They're arguments from, here's what the formulas are, here's what the relationships are. I mean, I usually just talk about them in terms of relationships because, frankly, that's what the formulas are made out of, is the variables, and the variables exist as relationships. How wide the slit is, how high the frequency is. These are the variables going into the experiment. And they're the things that matter, not these squiggly lines or thetas and all this other lambda, lambda, W lambda bullshit. Yeah. So anyway, if you really don't want to make an argument, because it's too much typing or something, then don't say anything. Or you could maybe you get away with saying I'm unconvinced, period, and then say I know you couldn't give a rat's ass. You could say something like that. because I couldn't. You know, unless you're going to say, I have, you know, a very high degree in physics, and I am willing to prove it to you, and I can explain to you why you're wrong if you want to know. Okay, that might be worthwhile. But if you're just going to pretend you know something when you don't, because you watched some documentary that I've watched many more of, fuck you. So, Dan Hawley played this game. Yeah, you know, and they usually have terms like dude or bro or some other kind of, you know, the typical game played, just like the Belchers, of I'm going to show you some disrespect. So I might as well just belch your name, okay, to show my disrespect. Or I'm going to use some terminology that's essentially saying, hey boy, you're too stupid. Get back in the field. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you. I think good and bad are just terms we apply to things that are out there. Well, I just made a whole video explaining how, no, they're not, asshole. They're facts in the universe, and, you know, we discover the facts. We don't get to make up the fact. We don't get to make up how far the moon is from the earth. And we don't get to make up the fact, like I said, I've personally experienced consciousness, so you're not going to fool me on that one. You don't get to make up the fact that what I feel doesn't matter, or what I feel, or having a nail in my eye and a cupcake are exactly the same feeling to me. That's bullshit. You want to tell me that's the truth? I'm going to tell you to fuck yourself hard, asshole. So, one sentence telling me my feelings are irrelevant is you're going to get a big fat fuck you from me, asshole, because you're not inside my consciousness. You have no right to negate my personal experience, you motherfucking cunt. Especially with just a sentence declaring it irrelevant. We don't know these things until someone is around to label it. It's a lie. We know what mammals are. We know what evolution is. We know they have brains. We know what the associated behavior is with feeling badly, that if they cry out, they have the sad eyes, tears come out of their eyes. Lots of things that are common between us and the other mammals. So we know perfectly well what's happening. We know when we're torturing a mammal that's being tortured. They know when they're pulling on the pig's ears and it's squealing and they kick it in the face, okay, that it's not having a good fucking time. We know that for a fact, motherfucker. And you want to evade that fact because you're a pussy piece of shit, a fucking sadistic lunatic who wants to justify your fucking goddamn abuse? Fine. But I know better. And I know it for a fact, asshole. Actually, quantum physics has shown us... No, quantum physics didn't show shit. Okay, some dumbasses drew stupid conclusions and then they made it into a goddamn theology. They wrote it in a goddamn Bible and started shoving it up everybody's ass and saying, well, look, you can't understand any of this fucking shit. We don't even understand it. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, it's the reality. That's what they did, asshole. Actually, quantum physics has shown us that the mere act of observing sometimes changes reality completely. Bull fucking shit. That's a declarative statement for which there is no fucking evidence supporting it. Well, unless you call it evidence that you vaguely saw a little bit of gray fur go past a tree, and now you're going to tell me Bugs Bunny exists. I do have to get that. Alright, try not to go over here. Anyway, so something that changes reality completely. Right, reality doesn't get changed, okay, and just by watching, he says, with a period. Yeah, this is the jargon. This is the whole danger of this whole conversation about quantum mechanics. There's no evidence of that. It's still the same factual circumstance that you can't see photons. You can't watch them. They're impossible to watch without having them interact with something. A thing. They have to move an electron. They have to make something happen in the world to be seen. So you can't watch them passively. I mean, fuck. But, the way they do talk about it, they give people this completely wrong impression that somehow we can observe them and we can do it passively, and They're quite obviously doing all kinds of wacky things when we look at them. That's not the truth. This is the most groundbreaking truth, see, humanity has ever stumbled upon. You see, this is it, thus far. Yeah, and again, it's explained as a theory that, well, if you think you know what quantum mechanics is, you don't know what quantum mechanics is. Ha 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 ha. That kind of crap. Because it is nonsense. It's just it's a fable based on a tiny kernel of truth. And that's all. It's a gigantic, the biggest fish story in the history of fish stories. Have you ever studied the double slit experiment? I mean, that's just insulting my intelligence. So yes, Dan, you just obviously haven't paid any attention to, my history. I'm not here to answer your questions, frankly. So, that's just that's not what people do on YouTube. Would you sit there and waste anybody's time asking somebody else on YouTube? Would you sit there and ask a stupid question like this on, let's say, whatever, the bow tie guy, Mr. Nye or something? You go on one of his videos and you ask questions. You ask him, have you ever heard of the double slit experiment? Well, why don't you ask him if he's ever heard of the single slit experiment? Because that might, might be a better question. You expect answers, do you? Fuck you. Also, you bring up math like, I mean, fuck you, unless you're going to sit there and explain to me how you have some relevant argument to make in this conversation besides saying I saw it on TV. Also, you bring up math like it is truth in the universe, but what if we had a system based on 12 digits? It's just totally retarded. So what? How it wouldn't change the relationships any. It wouldn't make -3 plus 25. So it just doesn't matter, asshole. Or we made 0 equal to negative infinity. Well, again, it doesn't matter because everything's going to be relative to whatever you change one number. If you change one number, they all change the same, idiot. Wouldn't the math change? No. Oh, man, you are really dumb. Bad is simply a label. Fuck you. I hope you get plenty of bad, buddy. I'll hope it and hope it and hope it. I know hoping's a waste of time, but nobody deserves it more than any asshole who says bad is simply a label. Then you deserve as much bad as you can fucking goddamn get. I hope it's dumped on you hard, hard, hard until you're screaming. I'll never say something stupid ever again, fuckface. The universe does not judge good or bad. Who's talking about the universe? The universe doesn't have a brain, fuckface. I do. A brain that's been educated, who actually read a book or something, you dumb cunt. You haven't thought of anything yourself. You just go ask some preacher to tell you what to think, you dumb cunt. There is only balance, yin and yang. Yeah, that's all just a fairy tale, fucker. You made that out of absolutely nothing. It's always just yin and yang. It always comes out just right. Says fucking nobody but an idiot. Fuck you. This is why Piro is dangerously stupid. Because these are the kind of assholes he gives the license to. In theoretical physics, quantum non-locality most commonly refers to, yes, most commonly refers to, because they have to say that because sometimes it refers to some other kind of bullshit. The phenomena by which measurements made at the microscopic level are contradict a collection of notions. Oh, wow, a collection of notions. How interesting. Known as local realism, that are regarded as intuitively true. Gee, isn't this also fucking scientific? Notions and intuitive. Great. That's physics. True in classical mechanics. So the argument is that there's a collection of notions there's measurements that are in conflict, contradict the notions of the fact that there's a material universe. Yes, that's what they're basically saying. Non-locality means that we have phantasmagorical ESP forces that are making weird and interesting things happening that don't have anything to do with the fact that gravity is a reliable force. Yeah, it's such a crock of shit. Rigorously, quantum non-locality refers to quantum mechanical predictions of many system measurement correlations. Many system measurement correlations. Predictions of many system measurement correlations. I mean, right there. Let's give them an award for a really interesting way to say the Holy Ghost. that cannot be simulated by any local hidden variable theory, except if you just refine your the input data. So this kind of crap comes down to, like, we get back to the stupid whatever it's called experiment where the asshole and they, you know, this whole whatever the fuck it is, Bell's theorem. Yeah, it comes up here. You know, because you have these experiments. Again, I've sort of explained this 4 times, but I'll do it a 5th time. Polarization is, in a sense, can be thought of as just a bars, like a jail cell. And if something's coming with the bars, it goes through. If it's coming flat against the bars, it doesn't, like a frisbee. So you're throwing a frisbee at a jail cell. Now, it's certain that every fucking frisbee you throw sideways isn't getting through the bars. But it's not certain that every one you throw the right direction gets through. Some of them hit the bar. Therefore, there's not an equality to start off with. Therefore, you're automatically not going to have 50-50 results at the end of the experiment. So if you go in with the assumption that if I throw 50 this way and I throw 50 this way, my outcome should be 50-50 at the end of the experiment, you've made a wrong fucking assumption. And then all of this goes away. There's no need for a hidden variable anymore because you got rid of the wrong assumption. So anyway, many entangled quantum states exhibit such correlations, such as demonstrated by Bell's theorem and as verified by experiment. And these experiments are basically woo-woo and wacky-wacky. Experiments have generally favored quantum mechanics as a description of nature. This would mean the 2-slit experiment, when they don't even bother talking about the single-slit experiment, over local hidden variable theories, over, no, the real theory, which is your assumptions are wrong. Any physical theory that supersedes and replaces quantum theory must make similar experimental predictions. Yeah, all it has to do is concede the point that photons hit electrons and that electrons change where the photon goes. Yeah, the readmitted photon doesn't go necessarily the same direction as the photon that went in. Wow, now I've radically changed physics with one simple prediction, one simple statement of fact, that photons change their direction when they encounter an electron, and the electron readmits the photon in a new direction. There, now we're done with the entire theory of quantum mechanics. If that is true, the entire theory of quantum mechanics, you can throw it in the trash can now, because now it's just about the fact that electrons travel in fields, and that those fields don't mean the electron sometimes travels in an unstraight line. Done. Because the field forces it to, and the field is made of real energy and must therefore be non-local in a sense. Quantum non-locality is a property of the universe that is independent of our description of nature. So there we go. It's independent of description of nature. So Piro's saying I have to play with words that have something to do with something that's independent of a description of nature. No, I goddamn motherfucking don't. While quantum non-locality improves the efficiency of various computational tasks, which are, they provide ways of fixing broken math, it does not allow for faster than light communication. So they're even making their own statements about their own bullshit, because that's not agreed upon by a lot of physicists. A lot of physicists think there is faster than light communication, and hence is compatible with special relativity. Another bullshit theory that has nothing to do with the truth. The relativity crap just means the clocks move slower because the matter is doing something else when it's moving fast. When matter's moving fast, it's busy moving fast, and it can't do whatever it was doing, like telling time well, or creating radiation in the sense of the atomic clock. The atomic clock decays slower when you give it greater velocity because it's busy velocitizing rather than decaying. However, it prompts many of the foundational discussions concerning quantum theory. Well, anyway, what a pile of shit. Yes, that's what we'll just call it. What a pile of shit. So anyway, why would I want to play with this goddamn bullshit of locality? Why would I want to mess with it? I don't think there's any duality. I don't think there's any fucking necessity to ever talk about locality. Everything is in a real place in the real universe. There's no woo, there's no woo-woo, there's no anything else. It's real physics. It's real hard physics made of real things have to communicate back and forth. Something can't be affected at a distance unless I throw a fucking rock at it. Okay, my neighbor's window will stay intact, and I can't just use my mind to break it. I can't just wish upon a star to break it. No, I have to throw a rock at it. Fucking cunts. So anyway, make arguments or fuck you. Make arguments that aren't arguments from authority. Explain. Or fuck you. Don't bother explaining. Don't bother talking. But saying shit like you're wrong without an argument, fuck you.